Hey, this is Zach with PRP Seats, here today to show you our seats and seat covers for the Polaris XPEDITION. Our seats and covers bring a brand new look and feel to the interior of your XPEDITION. With over 60 different colors and materials to choose from, you can completely redesign your interior. At the same time, you can protect your stock seats from the wear and tear that comes with driving off-road, whether it be on the trails, in the dunes, or around the range. For the XPEDITION, we have a few different seating options. The first is that we have front seat, rear bench, and center console covers that keep the styling of your stock seats, so you can maintain and protect your stock seats while still being able to customize all the different colors and materials that you want. However, if you would like more comfort and containment for your ride, we highly recommend getting PRP's RST or XCR UTV seats for the front. These are both suspension seats that are designed to eat up a lot of the small hits and bounces while you're driving off-road. So they're a lot more comfortable, have more containment than the stock seats, and at the end of the day, you're just not as beat up and worn out after being out on the trails. So you can drive longer with more comfort and containment with PRP seats, and these seats allow you to add extra functions such as seat heaters, seat coolers, adjustable air lumbar, and much more. If you choose to get these front seats, in the back we have a matching RST and XCR seat cover for the rear bench. These covers allow you to still maintain the function, if you have a full cab version of the XPEDITION, to fold the back of the bench down and extend your bed space. Then finish it off with a custom center console cover to complete your interior. You can find all these seats and seat covers at prpseats.com, so head there today and design your own. Today, we're gonna go over installation of the front, rear, and center console seat covers. If you are going to install front seats, we have a separate video for you with those seats and the adapter mounts in the link below in the description. Installation for the rear bench, whether it be the stock looking covers or the XCR or RST ones, installation is exactly the same on all those, and we're gonna go over that first. So first step is to pull your covers out of the box. If they've been in the box for a while, definitely lay them out, let them kind of stretch out, and recommend laying them out in the sun. So when you have little wrinkles or creases like this, when they're folded over, the sun will warm them up, help those creases flatten out, and make it much easier to stretch and install them over your stock seat. So we're gonna start actually with the rear bench today, just because the majority of people are gonna be doing that, whether they have the stock looking RST or XCR seat covers. First step is gonna be to fold this back section down to be able to install and pull off the old covers. If you have a full cab version with the bed covered and everything back here, this is really easy. There's just a little red release handle back here that you're gonna pull, and that back is gonna fold down. If you have a open cab version like this, where the bed is open back here, this is actually bolted on, and there's 2 bolts on either side that you're gonna use a 13mm socket to remove those 4 bolts and then pivot the bench down. Once you have the bench folded down, you're gonna use a T30 to remove a ton of these bolts throughout the back that hold the frame to the seat. If you have the version that folds down right away with the latch right here and the pull string, you can keep these 2 bolts in because they just hold the latch in. Once you have all the bolts out, lift up the frame and pop the cover piece down. Then pull the seat out of the vehicle. Next, take the seat back and put it onto a nice clean table or workbench like this. And now we're gonna start taking the stock seat cover off. There's a couple good points where you can start it at, either right here or right here, kind of where the seat belt goes. Just use your thumbs and pull that J clip out, and then start pulling it and going around the rest of the seat. If you ever get stuck and kind of have an issue like this where it's not easily coming out, rather than messing with it and maybe ripping it, just find another good starting point, go over there, and then work at it from the opposite direction. Once you have everything disconnected, you're gonna flip it over on the front, and then start on one side and start pulling it off. If you see here, there are some hook and strip pieces right here that you're gonna very carefully use your finger and your thumb to pull off. I say carefully just because if you really rip it off, you could tear the foam right here. So just go at it one by one and be careful with it. Right underneath the headrest right here, there's a little J-clip that you're just gonna slide to the side and pull out. Once you have it off, you can take your stock cover and put it to the side, store it for later, do whatever you wanna do with it. Next up, grab your PRP seat and we're gonna reinstall it pretty much the exact same way. To get it lined up nicely, we usually like to start on one side, finding that hook and loop piece and getting it lined up like it needs to be. Remember when you do this, you'll see you kind of have a crease edge right here. You actually want to get it on the top of that crease edge. Then kind of layer the seat cover over the top and start connecting those as you go. Now that you have all those in the center attached, go around the sides. I usually like to start with the headrest and start to clip in all those J-clips. When you're doing this, just kind of look over the cover, make sure it's not sitting a little bit too high or a little bit too low, which is why I like to start with the headrest because it's usually pretty easy to tell right away if it's too high or too low. Take your finger and your thumb, kind of fold this arrow clip over and down, and then pull it and clip it in. If you have any little excess spots or gaps in between the arrow clips, just take that material and tuck it in as well. Once you got the top done, go and work down on the sides and then finally do the bottom. Then, if you're having issues getting some of these little edges tucked in, just use a flat nose screwdriver or another tool on there to just kind of tuck them in that way as well. Just be careful, you're not hurting or harming the material when you do it. Once you have everything attached, flip the bench over, check out the front, make sure everything's sitting nice and tight like it's supposed to. It's not pulled over to one side or the other, or the logos aren't sitting wonky or anything like that. If you have any large creases or you can tell everything's really wrong, go in the back, start popping those off, re-pull it and re-tighten it where it needs to get the cover to sit as it should. If you have any small little wrinkles or creases like this in different spots, a lot of times these covers sit in a box for a long time, so it may have a random line kind of going up and down. Give it about 30 days, let the cover sit on the seat and get stretched out over the seat. And as it sits on it, it gets pulled and it gets hot in the sun. A lot of these little creases and wrinkles will come out by themselves. Once that's all set, put the bench back into the vehicle. You gotta kind of tuck it underneath the seat belts, pull it over, and if you kind of half get it on while it's still on the back, and then flip it back down again. Then you're gonna reinstall all of those Torx bolts back into it and tighten them down with a T30. Once all those bolts are in, flip it back up. Make sure you get the seat belts out of the way so it clicks in properly. If you have a full cab version, make sure everything locks in on here, and when you're installing it, there's a little release wire. Make sure it just doesn't get stuck or jammed in between the metal and the seat. Once that's all good, you can lock that one back into place. If you have a regular kind of cab or bed version like this, you're gonna reinstall those 4 bolts, 2 on either side, with a 13mm socket. Next up, we're gonna install on the bottom cushions. There's a 60 side and a 40 side, so make sure you just grab the right cover, lay it over the top, and you can kind of pull these seats up to make it easier to access in the back. Take all these elastic straps and feed them kind of down and underneath. Then you can lift it up, go on the bottom side, and start to pull all these straps and the cover through. On the corners right here where this metal bracket is, you just kind of use your fingers and tuck it underneath and around, kind of pulling that cushion back so the cover is able to get around the metal bracket. Pop it over to the bottom, make sure everything is sitting and pulled tightly and nicely. This front seam right here should pretty much line up right about the exact spot as the stock cover. Then you're gonna take these elastic bands and connect them with the hook and loop strips. 3 going front to back, and then 1 long one going side to side. Then pop it back over, make sure everything looks good up here. It's all nice and tight. If you need to go back and readjust those straps on the bottom, you can. If you have our RST or XCR rear bench covers, we also included a custom cover that goes over this lumbar cushion right here. Quick and easy to pull out. There's just a bunch of little kind of J hooks like this that you're basically just gonna pull straight back, pop it off, and then let's head over to the table and get the cover installed. So open it up, all these hook and loop strips. Make sure your cover is oriented with this cutout slot, right where this one goes right here, and then place it in. Wrap it around each edge. The cover is gonna have a slot built in. We're gonna put that J-clip through, wrap it around the other end, and then we've included several of these cut slots that you're gonna pull that J-clip through. Then attach these hook and loop strips to keep it tight. Go in the front, make sure everything looks good, and then reinstall it back in the car. Just take these J-clips. There are different ledges on the top and bottom that you're gonna attach that clip to. Next up, we're gonna start on the front seat covers. These come with 2 tops and 2 bottoms. We're gonna start by removing the front seats from the vehicle to make it a little bit easier to install. There are 2 bolts right underneath this metal bracket in the front that connect it to the plastic on there. You're gonna use a T40 socket to remove both those bolts. Once you have both bolts out, slide the seat forward, and then you're just gonna kind of lean it back and pick it up and out. Once you have the seat out, flip it over on a clean workstation or table, and just like the rear covers, you're gonna pull this stock cover off. Start on one corner, kind of use your fingers, or you can use a screwdriver, and just kind of pull that edge out, and then work your way around the seat. On the back of the cover back here, there's just one more clip on this bottom piece that you gotta kind of pull up and out. Then, just like on the rear one, there is hook and loop strips on here. So just start on one side, kind of hold the foam as you pull it, just so it doesn't tear the foam as you're pulling it off. On the back section, we're gonna do the exact same thing. I usually like to start in this corner down here at the bottom, start pulling that clip off and out. Then just continue working your way around the seat. If you're having any trouble and just can't get it to start, like on this piece right here, go down to another starting spot, like the bottom again, where I know I can get it out easily, and attack it from that direction. Then, same thing, once you have everything unhooked, start to pull the cover off. There's one more hook down here on the bottom that you need to get. Then, carefully start to pull that cover off the hook strips. In the center of the seat here, right underneath the logo, there's another J-clip. You just need to kind of slide to the side to get unhooked. And then right above the logo is that final J-clip. Once you have the covers off, set them aside, put them in storage, do whatever you want to do with them. Now that everything's off, we're gonna start installing our PRP seat covers. We usually like to start with the top section first because it has this extra wrap that you need to get underneath right here, and it makes it a little bit easier to access if you have this foam piece off. Take your PRP seat cover and lay it over the top of the seat. We're not gonna connect these yet. We're actually gonna line up these strips on these. So get these 2 topped ones by the headrests hooked on first. Pop over on either side, and you're gonna see these long strips that are gonna connect to the hook right here. When you're putting these on, we actually want you to tuck the material over like this. It's gonna get it a little bit tighter in the center and help prevent any creases in the center section. Once that's done, make sure your foam is kind of sitting correctly on here like it should. Then come on the back side and start attaching these arrow clips, wrapping them around the plastic. Take that edge, pull it down, and tuck it up and underneath itself. Take that arrow clip, pull hard on the cover in foam, and you're gonna tuck that piece underneath the lip and back around. The headrest is definitely the hardest piece to get on and kind of get it started on there. So if you need to kind of slide the cover up and off and kind of angle it up like this, get these pieces tucked in, And then once you get those kind of set, they're in a good spot, they're gonna kind of pull the rest of the cover tight and allow you to work down the arms all the way to the bottom. Now that you got the top section up here done, before you go all the way down, you wanna wrap this bottom flap around the foam on the bottom and then connect this rubberized J-clip. So just kind of move the material around, get it to sit nice, and get it to wrap around that foam piece. And then you can see this plastic rise or piece right here in the seat, and that is where you're gonna attach this rubberized J-clip to. So I usually start on one side, get it pushed down, and then just work my way across. Then once that's on and everything's set down here, you're gonna go and attach these arms and work your way down. Then if you have any extra little pieces or flaps like this sticking out, just kind of tuck them back and underneath until it looks nice. Next up, we're gonna do the bottom section. I usually take this back flap and kind of wrap it up over the front like this. Then we're gonna attach those Velcro pieces on the side right here, just like we did on the back. Just like before, curl that material over so it gets flat and tight in the middle of the seat where you're usually gonna be moving the most on there. Then once you have that on, start to tuck it around the front and the side of the seat. Then kind of pull the foam up on here and wrap this back section around the foam in the back. Make sure everything's sitting nice. I kind of like pulled this one a little bit too far. So just make sure it's tight. The foam's sitting nice. It's not bound up or kind of folded anywhere. Once you have that wrapped around the back, start attaching all the aero clips. I usually like to start on the center one, then go on the front. Just make sure everything's lined up nicely. It's not pulling over to one side too much or the other. Make sure it's all lined up and looks good before you start attaching everything else. Then, just like before, work your way around from the center and get both sides attached. On these side flaps, you can see this one isn't an aero clip, it's actually a J-clip. So you're gonna tuck this up and kind of fold it underneath like this. And you're gonna see this first ridge right here. You're trying to attach that J-clip to that first ridge. So you gotta roll it over like a taquito almost twice, and then attach it and pull it up like that. Now that you have both covers on, just do a final check. Make sure everything's lined up nice, everything looks even. If anything's kind of pulling too far to one side or the other, you can go around, unclip them, reattach, move that material as you need to get it to sit nice and tight. Like I said before, if you have any small creases or wrinkles, especially if these covers have been sitting in a box for a little while, you may just need to give them about 30 days, let them heat up, let them get hot, let them stretch out on the seat, and most of those small creases or wrinkles should go away. If you have any really big, obvious, large creases, you probably need to go back, kind of readjust the cover. It's probably not sitting correct or tight, or it's pulled over too far to one side. So go back and readjust as needed to get them looking perfect. On the seat brackets in the car, there's a bar that goes across that has two openings. You just need to hook these two brackets into that bar and then place it down on the front. Then, once you have the bracket in there correctly, slide the seat back. You're gonna reattach those two front Torx bolts with a T40. And final step is the center console cover to bring the interior together. These are pretty simple, easy. A couple of straps on the bottom. When placing it on, you're gonna see this kind of 90-degree angle that goes at the front right here, where this one has kind of a tapered angle. So place it over, make sure you get all your straps out, kind of pull it around the sides right there. Take these straps and the hook and loop strips on the bottom and connect them in. Then take these bottom two strips and connect them. Kind of pull the cover around the back right here, make sure it's fitting kind of nice and tight. Same on the front, just make sure they get over the corners nicely on there, and then that everything is kind of even and nice on the side. Then, still works easy, open and close. Protects your center console cover when you're constantly having your elbow on it and kind of wearing through that stock one, and perfectly matches your stock PRP seats or seat covers. And that's it. If you have any questions or issues, feel free to contact your local authorized dealer, or you can always find us at prpseats.com.